Hey guys, breaking news reported from CNN. I was wrong. Vivek Ramaswamy, it appears, is suspending his campaign. That means he is dropping out of the presidential primary race. Say it ain't so. In my opinion, don't bow down to Trump. I think that's exactly what Vivek is doing. It looks like he's going to come away with about 8% of the vote, although only about 50% of the votes, this is at 11:20 p.m. Eastern Time, have been counted so far. So he can certainly do better. But it appears that Vivek Ramaswamy is dropping out with a showing that was actually slightly better than what he was polling with. So it wasn't necessarily a disastrous night for Vivek, which is why it's my dog in the background. Which is why I am surprised. You want to get a little look at him? Why not? Which is why I am surprised that Vivek is dropping out. And I think he is drinking the Trump Kool-Aid. He wants to be subservient to the former president. And everybody knew this. Nobody is that surprised. He was certainly the most Trump-friendly candidate in comparison to many other candidates, obviously. But there were so many unique issues that Vivek was uniquely talking about. Getting to the bottom of some of the lockdowns and the lack of efficacy that it was with social distancing, and even trying to take some people to task, challenging big pharmaceutical companies, really advocating for a peaceful foreign policy free from any entanglement, whether it be Yemen or whether it be Syria or the Ukraine, and really addressing trying to be on the ball on artificial intelligence, being aware that Bitcoin is a potential gold mine in the future, or at least something that has to be effectively managed, and that you as a president have to have a knowledge of that currency. That's a whole different ballgame in terms of what that currency is, but really Vivek and Ron DeSantis, I keep laughing at my dog in the background, Vivek and Ron DeSantis were really the only ones talking about, and I think Vivek in a much more eloquent way. And then just generally talking about the deep state. You don't have to support Trump. I never have and never will to say that there is a deep state. Now, I think the deep state has permeated both the Republican and the Democratic parties, and I don't think that Trump is necessarily a target, but I think that there is a deep state in terms of corruption of the FBI. In terms of corruption of the CIA. There's a lot of good, hard evidence, and we keep learning more and more things, that Lee Harvey Oswald was not the lone assassin of John F. Kennedy in 1963, and that there's very good, tangible evidence, including Rob Reiner's interesting podcast about it, that the CIA was responsible for JFK's death. And Vivek has talked about that and has really talked about issues that other candidates have been far too scared to even touch. But he had the cojones to actually go there. And you need a bigger picture candidate. You know, we look at the very specific policies of each candidate, how conservative, we look at their social policies, which is important. But you need a bigger picture candidate who's trying to untangle this oligarch-type mess that we live under in this government. That's something that nobody else has been talking about. But I think quite obvious, and it was interesting looking at Vivek's numbers, is that he would have actually been a strong general election candidate. And I think he would have been stronger than Trump. I'm somebody who would never vote for Trump, but I would consider very much voting for Vivek over Joe Biden. And the reason is his message isn't Vivek. It doesn't have those dog whistles talking about poisoning the blood, and he certainly wants to secure the borders, but he's not villainizing any immigrants, and he doesn't have this shaky history with sexual assault, and he even has been careful about, did Trump, of course, I think Trump lost the election, but he hasn't even he hasn't supported that theory that Trump actually won the election, although he certainly has waffled, and I don't like his view on that. I think you should say Joe Biden won fair and square, although Vivek essentially has said that. So he would have been a stronger general election candidate. And what was interesting is he only got 8%, but the 8% was across the board, with all these different types of voters. He got 8% across the board with all these different groups, among college-educated voters, among voters who did not have a college degree, amongst men, amongst women, amongst young people, amongst old people. Everything was almost 8%, 8%, 8%. So I thought that was very interesting. And then furthermore, he got 8%, which is the most interesting, from the 65% of caucus goers who believe that Trump actually won the 2020 election. He got 8% of that. But interestingly enough, he also got 8% from the 35% of people who think that Biden rightfully and fairly won the 2020 general election. So he really did have support from both sides. Everybody was trying to sideline Vivek as this conspiracy Trump-like person. I actually think he had a lot of differences from Trump. Had a kinder, gentler, but more pragmatic and common sense message, but was also his mission was to speak truth to power. Of course, when that happens, people come after you, and I think Vivek's big weakness is he was too intoxicated by the aroma of President Trump. Now, I think President Trump was targeting him at the end because Trump realized that Vivek did well across the board with all these different types of people and that there was something brewing. So he had to make sure to quash Vivek because he obviously wants those votes, and a lot of Ramaswamy votes would go to Trump, probably about 80%. So it makes Trump a stronger candidate. But Trump had been attacking Vivek, saying don't vote for him, he's not the real deal. And Trump was successful. Trump did his best to silence Vivek. I think if Trump didn't send out those emergency tweets and statements, then Vivek might have finished, honestly, with 16, 17, 18%. Trump did everything he could do to suppress Vivek, and Vivek folded, and unfortunately Vivek listened to Trump. I'm sure he wants something in his administration. So a little disappointed by that, and I guess I'm one of the few that is not a Trump fan, but really thought that Vivek was interesting as a pretty good candidate. In terms of other aspects of the Iowa caucus, we don't really have a definitive answer yet as to who will be in second place. That will certainly make a big difference. I would say it was a good enough night for Trump. Not spectacular, though, and not even very good. I would say it was a good enough night for Trump, which means Trump has around 50 to 51% of the vote. This is as of 11:30 p.m. right now. Remember, previous Iowa polls had Trump at 60 to 65%. Now he is hovering around 50. And of course, as I said before, if it turns into this mano-a-mano race, Trump versus one person in the primary, arguably 51% of those people could vote against Trump. Now, I don't think that's the way the cookie's going to crumble because a lot of DeSantis people will probably go for Trump, and certainly most of the Vivek people. And Vivek got 8% of the vote, or at least, or maybe more, when this is all been done counting. But I would say it's a good enough night for Trump. The big difference maker will be second place. And I'll have more of a definitive answer probably in about 2 hours, probably at 1 in the morning before I try to crash out. I'm going to run a KFC real quick to get some food and get some chicken for the dog. He's going to enjoy it, I'm sure. But yeah, that's my deal. I was inspired by the dude. I did not come away. Of course, it gets a lot of views as well, so I appreciate that. But I did not come away initially supporting him, but I think addressing this governmental corruption in a much bigger picture way is super crucial and something that nobody else was doing. And I've always been this kind of anti-establishment figure. If you're new here, I got fired. I used to be a local TV news anchor. Got fired for speaking the truth about Scientology. That's how I got most of my subscribers. So I've always been a fan of people who speak truth to powers. But Vivek is out. I think thought he should have kept going. He would have had that narrative saying he did well with different types of groups across the board, that he could have been a uniter. But the toxicant of Trump was unfortunately too tempting for him this time around. So no Vivek event. I was excited about that. No Vivek event. I'll post up my stuff from Marianne Williamson. I'll go back to Dean Phillips and do some more events with him at his events. And then I'm also going to check out Nikki Haley's events. And I think it looks like Ron DeSantis is going to come to New Hampshire. So this is the last thing you want to look at. Second place. Haley gets third place. She might limp to New Hampshire versus soar to New Hampshire. If she had second place, she'd say she's the ultimate coalescer. Everybody come behind Nikki Haley. But she might come in third place. So she might lose to I was thinking she'd beat Trump in New Hampshire and get second place. I was wrong about that. It looks like she may get third, but we'll see. But what's interesting for her is now it's not this I am the definitive second choice. Not if she comes in third place, even though she wasn't expected to do that well in Iowa. But so now she might lose to Trump by 8 points, which would be respectable and give her some momentum and make this a real race, but it would make it tougher for her to continue that momentum into South Carolina, which ironically is a tougher state for her because it's quite conservative. People have been painting Haley as liberal, ironically. So who knows how that would go. But so she needed to come in a comfortable second, didn't even come close to that. DeSantis limps along, lives to fight another day. I think he's going to stay in this. He'll say, hey, I got second place. I'm going to stay in this. If Haley, at the end of the day, it's entirely possible that Haley could end up nabbing the silver. If she does, then this is a real race. I think she wins New Hampshire. So that's me and my thoughts. Thanks for listening to me. Thanks for listening to me blab. I thought I was the only one that enjoyed the sound of my own voice, making a silly joke. But I'm glad you enjoy it. A lot of jump in subscribers. I appreciate that. A lot of Vivek fans out there, so I want to talk about my opinions. But it's not just I like Vivek uniquely. I also like Marianne Williamson. I really do quite like Dean Phillips. And hey, you're gonna throw egg in me for saying this, but there's a lot of positives about Nikki Haley as well. Quite frankly, a lot of negatives about her, and I'll delve into what I like and what I don't like as well. Really, the only people I don't like are Biden and Trump. I just don't like any of those people, and I think both of them would be bad presidents. Or we're bad presidents. So why give either one of them a second chance? That's just my opinion on the matter. Thank you guys for subscribing. I appreciate it. And in memoriam, Vivek Ramaswamy, we hardly knew ye. Thanks for trying to fight the good fight and trying to expose some corruption. Nothing wrong with that. You have a good night, guys. More to come in about 2 hours.